Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into Eric Schmidt's pretty urgent vision for our AI future. We're going to break down his blueprint for the next decade, from the incredible promise of AI to its very, very real, even existential risks.
Okay, so let's just kick things off with this quote because, wow. The former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, says superintelligence is coming within 10 years. Let that sink in. This isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy anymore. He's basically saying this is a deadline and it's right around the corner. All right, so before we get to the scary stuff, let's talk about the promise. Schmidt lays out what he calls the San Francisco consensus. And honestly, it's this breathtakingly optimistic vision of AI's potential to just rocket human progress forward.
And here's how he sees it unfolding. It's a ladder. Step 1, language. Check, we're basically there. Step 2 is reasoning, followed by step 3, planning. But step 4, that's the game changer. We're talking about autonomous AI scientists. Think about it. AIs that can literally make their own scientific discoveries. And the timeline for this is wild. He predicts that within just 5 years, we're going to see these specialized AI savants, basically AI geniuses, pop up in every single field. This is what creates an intelligence explosion. It's like fast-tracking solutions for everything, from curing diseases to fixing climate change, and that leads to this idea of massive abundance.
But just as we're getting comfortable with that amazing utopian vision, Schmidt throws a massive wrench in the works, a huge physical roadblock that changes the entire equation. And the big limit on AI? It's not the software, it's not even the chips. It's something much, much more basic. 92 gigawatts. That's the number. And that's not the total power. That's the additional power the US needs just to fuel this AI revolution. I mean, that's a staggering amount of energy. It's basically the natural speed limit on AI growth, dictated by pure physics and infrastructure. And to really put that into perspective, look at this. 92 gigawatts is basically the same as building 92 new large nuclear power plants. Now, here's the reality check. In the last 30 years, the US has built two. So yeah, this really shows the massive gap between our digital ambitions and our real-world energy grid. So, what happens when you have this massive energy bottleneck? Well, it doesn't just slow down progress. It actually fuels something even more dangerous, a high-stakes geopolitical race, mainly between the US and China. And Schmidt uses this really powerful analogy to frame just how serious this moment is. He says it's like 1938, and Einstein's letter about the atomic bomb has just landed on the president's desk. The message is clear. We are at that same kind of history-defining moment right now with AI. And the risks here, they go way beyond just who's winning a race. We're talking about existential-level threats. Things like AI-designed cyber attacks that humans literally can't even comprehend, let alone defend against, or AI being used to design new, deadlier viruses. And then there's proliferation, the problem of this tech getting into anyone's hands. So, at first glance, you might think the main threat comes from these huge, centralized AI models. Locked away in massive, super secure data centers owned by governments. Kind of like a stockpile of plutonium. Scary, but at least you know where it is. But Schmidt says that's not the real danger. The real threat is the complete opposite. It's distribution. It's the fact that through open source, these incredibly powerful AI brains can be copied and run on a tiny anonymous server anywhere in the world, by anyone, a rogue state, a terrorist group, you name it. Okay, so if you can't contain it, how on earth do you manage a power this huge and this widespread without, everything blowing up? Well, this leads to Schmidt's proposed strategy. It's a new kind of deterrence for a new kind of threat. He calls it mutually assured malfunction. And yeah, it's a 21st century update on the Cold War's mutually assured destruction. The logic is basically the same. If both the US and China have the power to cause a catastrophic cyber attack on each other's AI infrastructure, it creates this very tense but stable peace. Neither side will risk it. And right now, the two main players have completely different strategies. You've got the US basically keeping its best AI models closed and proprietary. It's about controlling the tech and maintaining a business edge. China, on the other hand, is all in on state-funded development, and they might even use open source to try and leapfrog ahead and gain that global influence. So after all this talk about global races and existential threats, the final question gets really personal. Forget geopolitics for a second.
what does all of this mean for us, for human beings?
And it's a question that goes way deeper than just jobs. Schmidt's real worry is something he calls drift. It's this idea of a slow, almost invisible erosion of our own human agency, our judgment, as we just get used to outsourcing more and more of our thinking to these AI systems.
And this quote really sums up the sheer scale of what's coming. You're going to have the sum of Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci and the equivalent of your pocket. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. The power of a history-making genius, right there in your hand, available 24/7. So, in the end, the most important question isn't really what AI is going to do to us. The real question is, what are we going to do with it? That's the challenge, and it's the incredible opportunity that defines the next decade. Thanks for tuning in.